Deathbringer here. Ready to toss your dice and your morals into the abyss? Then back the Roll for Combat Kickstarter, weaklings. It's packed with hundreds of savage, blood-soaked options to obliterate your enemy. And better yet, you'll get to use them in my game, the Deathbringer RPG. Coming next year, the Deathbringer RPG isn't some soft, cuddlecore fantasy nonsense. It's fast, mean, and completely unforgiving. In Deathbringer, you don't save the world. You stab it in the heart, loot the corpse, and set it on fire for good measure. Every backer of the Roll for Combat Secret Tomes for Shadowdark Kickstarter will get an exclusive sneak peek at the glorious carnage of Deathbringer and a chance to play in the beta test later this year. So sharpen your blade, settle your soul, and back it now. Ignore me and I'll use your spine as a bookmark. Back now.
You heard the story, but I'm going to tell it. My wife and my daughter know it. When I was 10 years old, I did nothing but like play Dungeons and Dragons, right? And I wasn't very athletic, right? So that's it. Is that
You're
okay?
Good. Just pretend it's not there.
Okay. And I wasn't very athletic. I didn't have a lot of eye-hand coordination, and I didn't have good grades. So my parents took me to a child psychologist, like all these specialists, and they gave me like Rorschach tests, and then they put me on a treadmill in my underwear, and they attached electrodes to my body, and I had to run, and they fed me sugar, and I had to run, because they thought I was, and they measured my brain waves.
And this was only last week.
And they because they thought there was something like weird with me, that I wasn't normal, which is true. But oh boy, if they could see this now, they used to. They were like, okay, you can't just play Dungeons and Dragons for life. You have to study hard in school and be able to succeed. And they were wrong about that because we're all here now. It's like the best thing I ever did. So we're gonna start?
Sure.
All right, here we go.
So welcome everyone to Secrets of Deathbringer. So everyone asks who Deathbringer is, and I'm going to tell you right now, Deathbringer is Deathbringer. So don't ask anymore, okay? And right now, who do we have on the panel?
Kesley Dionne of the Arcane Library, sometimes known as Shadowdark Kelsey.
And I'm Stephen Glicker from Roll for Combat, and I'll be publishing Deathbringer.
Professor Dungeon Master, Dungeon Craft.
And I'm Baron de Ropp from the YouTube channel Dungeon Masterpiece and the organizer of Green Dragon Fest at Ancient Lore Village in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Love it.
So we will talk a little bit about it in general, but then we'll also just get some questions and answers. The very first thing I wanted to probably just talk about is why and how we're doing this for Shadowdark, because that seems to be the big question, because some people were wondering why is it not its own system. And quite frankly, we went through it, and Dan wrote the rules. Dan, by the way, is Professor Dungeon Master, so if you hear Dan, you'll be like, you know his Clark
You
Kent.
destroyed his superhero identity.
You're all in the secret club, by the way, now. Anyhow, he is Professor Dungeon Master, and, to actually put out an entirely brand new set, as Kelsey will attest, as well as ourselves, like Mark Seifter, our Director of Game Design, Roll for Combat, who did Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It's really hard because you have to put out everything. You have to put out Monster Manual. You have to put out a Player's Handbook. You have to put out GM Handbook. You have to put out Adventures. You have to put out, there's everything. And then everything is, whatever you think it is, it's more. And it is a lot also to ask people to switch to a new system. And we were looking at it, and I was reading the rules, and we've iterated them a few times. And then literally, I was thinking, as we're doing a Shadowdark Kickstarter right now, and this is very similar to Shadowdark, and we didn't feel like it needed to be, it's really its own system, and then Professor and I were talking, and Professor said it even before I did. He's like, should we just make this part of Shadowdark and latch on to everything that Kelsey's created?
Just ride her coattails.
Just ride her coattails and say, thank you, Kelsey. Whee! No, seriously, because she has a fantastic community. The systems are very similar in some ways. And yeah, it felt right and fit into place, and Kelsey seemed fine with it. But it is going to be a very different setting, and I'll go into that in a bit. But if you wanted to talk a little bit, like, what do you think about probably, I guess, the first major second setting for Shadowdark other than your own?
Yeah. Well, and the thing too is that Shadowdark is kind of a core level rule system, and I always figured at some point somebody would write like a rules like modular add-in to Shadowdark that uses the base rules but then changes the feel a lot. And I think that Professor Diemme's the first person to like truly attempt this like at a big scale. And I think that it's going to work so well because it's Shadowdark's open license is meant to support that kind of thing while giving you just a really sort of baseline D20 derived system. It's almost like generic OSR. Like that's kind of how Shadowdark is. And so I was secretly hoping someone would do this kind of thing for it. And then when you guys came to me like talking about this idea, it just was a perfect fit. So I'm so happy. Yeah.
It's Kelsey's birthday, so this was her birthday present from me. So everyone say, happy birthday, Kelsey! Happy birthday, Kelsey!
We didn't have a video recorded.
I'm here live.
No, we got to record it.
Oh,
right
yeah,
there.
we do.
Yeah.
Oh, you have your own.
Before I forget, Elizabeth, you took off my lanyard. I'm looking at everybody's ID. You took it off in the booth. Now I don't have it. All right, what?
It's in your backpack.
Oh, okay, good. I'm looking at all these, and I'm like, it's freaking me out.
Well, no one knows who you are, sorry.
So when I first read Shadowdark, so I'm friends with Anchor and Fernail over there, Brandish Gillum at Runehammer. Who likes Runehammer? And let's hear it. And we were drinking, which takes a while with him. And so we were, and he was telling me all about his game master Kelsey, and she's great, and telling me about the game she's developing and Shadowdark. And I knew Shadowdark because I knew the Lizard Man cover, and and people had been on my patrons. So many of you were telling me it was cool, like in its infancy. And then she contacted me on Facebook and said, "We have a mutual friend. Would you mind reviewing this thing?" And I thought, okay, well, it's another OSR, retro clone or whatever. I'll get to it. But yeah, I'll take a look at it. Made no promises. Then I open it up and start reading. I got to Cleric and I was like, damn it, this is what I was gonna do.
Sorry, man. Yeah.
And then she said sorry. And then I've been working on it a long time, and they are the house rules that I use at my table, and they're just so close. And people ask like, well, I was hoping it'd be its own system. This is the kind of thing that it's going to be like. With Deathbringer, there was no derivative stats originally, right? Shadowdark uses derivative stats. That is the 3 to 18. That's a small change on a character sheet. And one of the things is people actually they think there's a big difference between a 12 and a 13. It makes them feel better. I was going to use less stats, but some people want to imagine that they're actually charismatic, and that's like their character. So that's why charisma got put in. How many of you like Dark Sun, right? Because this is the question I get asked, is it a different system? And it's going to stand on its own, but you can augment it with Shadowdark. And the Deathbringer will be its own class, right? Which is, they're like a cult of insane, wizard-altered nutcases, right? That's what they are. But if you want, you can augment that with the Shadowdark Fighter. And the book will stand on its own. It'll have its own spells, right? And you could use them both together, but it's a lot like Dark Sun, where with the old Dark Sun, you just change some of the rules, which is like you got the defilers, like magic works slightly differently. And all of the hardest Shadowdark modes of play, like the 30-minute torch timer and like that kind of stuff, like initiative every round, they're all in there. Right, so it is its own game, but it also is compatible because I think games are a language And so many of you are playing Shadowdark, and so many of you are also playing Deathbringer. I want it to be a unified language, and that's what I was thinking. And I'm inviting some of my friends to write for it. Tell us all about what you're writing, which I don't know, because I just invited him.
We're still ironing out the details. That's a polite way of saying I'm not quite sure yet. I've got ideas for like an entry box set type of thing that's not quite Keep on the Borderlands. We've bounced around a few ideas that will involve, what is it, cannibal?
Well, the fungus-licking cannibal cult is the first adventure.
Just all kinds of nonsense, stuff like that, that dives into the grotesque and macabre style that is Deathbringer. So, you know, it's going to be good stuff. We're still kicking around ideas, though.
So one thing I wanted to mention is that one of the differences between this system and Shadowdark, so, and I've said it before, but Shadowdark, I feel, is probably PG-13, and Kelsey's agreeing. So it's a PG-13 system. You know, it's a hard PG-13, but it is PG-13. Deathbringer is going to be more R, and pretty hard R. It's not going to be X, and it's not going to be disgusting.
Will there be chainmail bikinis?
There will be chainmail bikinis.
We're bringing him back.
For the men.
Even better!
I'd love to see that.
So, no, actually, whatever we do, if we're going to sexualize women, then we're going to sexualize men, too. Everything is going to be equal. So what we are going to do is that the influences, and it's a subtle but important differences, 80s heavy metal magazine and Conan the Barbarian. So it's not grim dark like what you see so much. It's a grim world, but it's more of a heroic, fantasy world from, like, I would say, Howard's 30s Conan the Barbarian worlds, where, yeah, it's a brutal world and people get killed and it's kind of, it's gross and there's guts and, like nasty sorcery everywhere, but it's not overly gratuitous for the sake of being gratuitous, if that makes sense. I would almost say kind of like a Mad Max.
Did you just invent a new genre?
Did I? What did I call it?
Pulp dark.
Pulp dark.
I think that's what you're making.
Pulp dark.
Because it's not grim. It's not grim dark. It's not like gritty, low fan. It's like pulpy.
Yeah.
Pulp dark. I'm calling it that.
All right. That's all right. There we go.
There it is.
That'll last for 10 minutes and then it'll be dead.
Oh, I'll remember.
Thank you for coming to our brainstorming session.
Yeah.
So one of the big aspects that makes this what we're describing, and this actually is going to be a big part of the system, is that probably one of my favorite systems of all time is Paranoia from the 80s. And what made Paranoia so much fun is you have 6 clones, and if one dies, you got 5 more. And it sounds like a small thing, but it allows you to really play really all out. It allows you to really just have fun, go crazy, not worry too much about consequences, and everyone's really having a good time. I think one of the things that's been lost in even just D&D and Pathfinder and some of the other D20 systems is that people are just a little too scared because they don't want their characters to die. And if anyone's played with me, as Kelsey knows, I am never too scared to die. By the way, I have never died in a game of Shadowdark, ever.
I will change that one day.
One day, but it has not happened. But when I play, I am always chaotic insane, and I always have a lot of fun. And now I want everyone to be chaotic insane and have fun. So we're still figuring out exactly how it works, and it's already kind of in the rule set, but you don't die. When you die, you come back, and you come back fast. And there is a price to pay, but you actually get more powerful when you come back. And if you die too many times, you could eventually go down to the corruption, and eventually maybe you'll become an NPC, and then your own character will kill everyone else, which is also fun. But the point is by taking away that small restriction, everyone will always be going all out. Everyone will always be having fun. And it's just, I think, going to change the game dynamic in quite a way. And that's what we want. We want people to really just not worry about, how do I do this? Should I do this? No, do it and worry about dying later.
Yeah, you know how like you get to that point where like there's a door and no one wants to open the door. Or you say, who's going to be the first into the dungeon? And they're like, oh, not me. Well, we're going to change that and make everybody want to crawl over each other and fight each other to be the first in the dungeon. That's going to be, these are rules, and we're going to need to play test them, and they may end up optional. But the idea is like you're going to lose a hand or a limb or something like that. But just like Luke Skywalker, survives after he loses his hand, and he becomes a more powerful Jedi. And mechanically, what I'm working with now is that you pop back after one round with 1 hit point. Because one of the reasons I don't like death mechanics is I don't like the idea that you're waiting around for someone to pour a healing potion down your throat. I don't like mechanics, any kind of mechanics in games, including Call of Cthulhu, where you go temporarily insane and your character's just taken out of the game, because it's boring to not be in the game. It might sound cool on paper and Lovecraftian, but as a practical thing, I being even stunned for a couple of rounds or unable to act, I don't like that. I'd rather you just move forward with 1 hit point, and you will unlock these prestige talents that you can only unlock by dying. So, Kelsey, were you going to say something?
No.
You can.
Except that I like that idea a lot.
She also liked my idea when I ran it by her, like when you die for the final time, if you're over a certain level, you keep fighting, dragging your guts around, and you can like finish that fight, and then you die, right? Because that's actually what like it is when people talk about cinematic. That's what's actually cinematic, right? And that's that. Next.
So with in general for timing, so right now we have the rule sets, but they're being rewritten because we had them not for Shadowdark, but that's okay. One of the big advantages is that everything that's in Shadowdark will now work in Deathbringer. So we don't have to worry about creating I'm doing 500 monsters, but we don't have to create 500 more
Only
monsters. We don't have to worry about, if you want to play a Shadowdark class, you can play a Shadowdark class. You can use the Shadowdark Adventures, and, you can just jump right in. The system is going to be very modular, so you'll be able to pull what you want from each system.
Classes
But it will be in its own world, it will be in its own setting, it will have its own classes and so forth. But it will be integrated in such a way that you can play vanilla Shadowdark with like a Deathbringer class. And that's fine if that's all you want to do. Or you can that's kind of the whole point. We just want to make it that there's more options for both games, and that you just take what you like from both. And also, you don't have to learn a whole new game. I think Shadowdark's doing okay.
Oh, gosh.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you'll be able to jump into it from day one. And also, the Shadowdark rules are very, very easy to learn. Kelsey, why'd you do that? I miss reading an 800-page manual.
Sorry to disappoint. Yeah.
I know. If you do we do have a Kickstarter at shadowzoo.com or even deathbringer.com. That's for myself, but we are going to be doing a play test later, probably early next year. And we play test a lot of Roll for Combat, like a lot, to make sure we find out what works, what doesn't work. We get feedback from everyone to fine tune it. Mark Seifter will be running it. He's written, he did the playtest for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. He does all of our playtests over at Roll for Combat. We have a whole system for this, so we're very well aligned on this. Where Michael, who's in the back, he's going to be writing a lot of this. I mean, he's going to be fine-tuning it to make sure it works for the Shadowdark system. And Michael's waving his hand, and is Kelsey's right-hand assistant librarian. Do you have anything to say? I mean, we're going to try to do the Kickstarter April 2026. And then, so that's where we're doing the launch. But we're still looking into exactly, as we're rewriting the rules, exactly what's going to be in it. But obviously, there'll be the book itself, there'll be adventures, other things.
And another analogy I would do, another connection, because Anthony up front, hi, part of the Pirate Borg crew. Pirate Borg is a very, very popular game. It's actually more popular at GenCon. There are more Pirate Borg events by far than Mork Borg, right? And it's got the same, it's a board game, but it's a different thing. And that's what Deathbringer is going to be.
I guess we can open up the questions. If I imagine people have I see one right there.
Question about basing a lot on factor. Thoughts?
That's your.
Well, it's going to go up to the 20th level, and people have been asking, well, if your game is so tough and unforgiving, why do you have the higher levels? And that's so you can extend the life of the character. But because of the wizards, the doom scribes of Deathbringer, when they cast spells like the defilers of Darksun, right? They pollute the atmosphere and they destroy life, right? So as a result, all your characters, when you level up, you roll hit points with disadvantage and you don't add your constitution. So you'll get higher levels, but your hit points will always be really low. And that is one of the things that makes games exciting. I believe low hit points make games more exciting. And so that's...
But as for kingdom building itself, I mean, I don't know yet, but I imagine is there like a Shadowdark kingdom building? I mean, that's the advantage of Shadowdark. Like, if someone creates something that's like a really good Shadowdark kingdom building supplement, you'll be able to plug it right in, and that's the whole thing. You don't want to be dependent on just me and Professor to come up with everything. Okay, as good as you think we are, we're not that good. It's better to use the whole community and use everyone's brains and have them come up with something, and then you can plug it in, or you can write it. I'm putting it on you right now. It's such a good idea. When is it coming out? Let me know.
All right.
And just to give some concrete examples, there are warfare rules that are written by a third-party chainmail expert called Hell March. So you've got that, and then I know there's a third-party person actively working on an extended higher-level Shadowdark thing that's incorporating strongholds and stuff. So that's being made by the community, and it's going to be completely reverse compatible with Deathbringer and Shadowdark. So it's out there almost, yeah.
Yes. Everyone's a human, so the ancestry is a different type of human, and I'm working on it now. So in that regard, it's sort of like Modiphius Conan. You know, whether you come from the desert, are you a peasant, you have some sort of exotic background, like you were raised in a circus or by wizards or something like that. That's what the ancestry is. Yes. So that would be a reprint, because those are still sold by quest givers. And could we revisit them? It is possible. It's possible. If I got to check with those guys, you know, we're still. But Deathbringer is the first thing out, and I want the adventures. The first few adventures will be original, and maybe I could rewrite the Frankenstein one for that one. I'm thinking about there'll be 3 in the book. And they'll all be facing pages. Like an adventure's 2 pages. You don't flip, ever, because I hate flipping. I hate things where you flip. Yeah. Yes. Yes. At the end of the session, and you can always give out more if you see they're really bleeding out. They're not going to make it to your end of your. Yeah, you can give it.
You want to explain how the Deathbringer dice work?
So the Deathbringer dice, you get this pool of D6s, right? And we're going to make them cool, look like skulls and stuff. And you have this pool you spend to either reduce incoming damage, cause additional damage, or you can use it to add to any D20 roll. And you can use as many dice as you want in one shot, right? So the game is very spongy. You don't have to pause to say, well, we have to take out, I want to take out this guard from behind, but I'm not a rogue, so I don't have that thing. You really need to take him out. You use your Deathbringer dice and you do it. Dragon breathes on you, you fail the saving throw, or it just causes too many hit points. Then use the Deathbringer dice to survive. In my opinion, that's actually much more cinematic, right? Because when I think of like Dragon Slayer, like, you know, Galen Van Warden is like a first or a third level like fighter wizard, but he doesn't get nuked by the dragon. Like, how did that happen? And the answer is the Deathbringer dice. You know, when someone needs to do something in a movie, and they don't quite have that skill, but they just barely make it. That's the Deathbringer dice. And what's cool is it doesn't slow down. Imagine a character sheet where all your skills aren't just a list of skills. They're a pool of dice, and they're used when you need them because that's what heroes, they obviously have their own expertises and stuff like that. But when heroes in a story or a film need to do something, they generally do it, right? And also the dice keep you alive till the end when you really want the players to die. Because you want them to have an epic death, right? If they're gonna die, you don't want them falling down a pit trap in the first 10 feet of the dungeon, right? That seems like, oh yeah, that's badass, but it's not fun. And I like it when the players die later on, and then that way, they have an epic death, and then they go home and they come back with a new character. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Yep.
Play testing, is it going to be internal, or are you taking that out to the...
No, that's part of the community. If you back the Kickstarter at shadowzoo.com right now, part of it is that you will be entered into... We're going to have a whole system, but everyone who backs it will be invited. And it's going to be private. It's public, but private. One of the reasons I'm doing it is because we're going to be reusing some of the materials from these books, because the Kickstarter I'm doing right now, we're doing 3 books, and they're rather large. So there's going to be a lot of content as well as the Shadowdark. So we need it's basically a way to cheat, giving you more material so that you have something to start off with right away, as well as adventures to use and so forth. Yes.
Supplemental adventure. What would be the stretch goal mark that you will
You could write it. That might be
Right now we're just going to concentrate on just getting the core classes and the core mechanics done.
So you say class A, multiple?
Yeah.
There's more than one class.
Yeah.
There's more than one.
Yeah, there's the Deathbringer, the Doom Scribe. There's going to be a Plague Doctor, the Bounty Hunter, probably the Witch Hunter, maybe a Battle Nun.
So again, we're still fine-tuning them because we do want to also balance them with...
The idea of battle nuns so much.
So it's both standalone. So we don't want to have like 5 melee classes in one range. You have to have a little bit of everything. So we have to make sure. This is where Seifter comes in. This is where our game designers come in to do the balance, to make sure there's a role for everyone, to make sure we're not overlapping either or doing too much, too little in any way. And we're also going to be using Michael and Kesley to make sure that we're filling either holes in Shadowdark or not overlapping too much with something that exists in Shadowdark. We just have to make sure it fits correctly. So it's we can't just say, oh yeah, this is it and that's it. We're not at that point yet, unfortunately. But there is a Deathbringer class, I promise you that. And he's awesome.
Yes.
Go more into how do you actually die in Deathbringer? A certain number of lives. And part 2 is, how's it explained in the game? Is it you weren't really beheaded? Do you just got your arm chopped off, or the Dark Gods decided you weren't going to die that year?
So your starting character probably has something like, if you're honest, like 1 or 2 hit points. Maybe you're lucky you got 6. As soon as you hit 0, this is the way it's written now. As soon as you hit 0, you go down that round. Then the next round, you can pop up with 1 hit point, and you get a prestige talent. You get the prestige talent. You also lose like a finger or something. And you describe what that is. And you also describe the miraculous way that you survived. It's like, oh, I had a shirt of mithril that nobody knew about under my thing. Well, I fell off the cliff, but I landed in water, right? Which again is to me, it is, that's like the stories that I grew up reading. I hope that helps.
We're going to definitely play test out thoroughly.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of a new mechanic, so we want to make sure that it's both, theatrical and balanced and fast and doesn't, disrupt it. Because if we're going to put in something like people dying and they're getting new abilities, it has to be quick. Like, we can't have you sitting there, oh, let me look at the chart. What do I want? Should I have this one or this? No. Take, go, keep going.
It's still up in the air how many times?
Right
Yeah,
now, it's 3 right now.
Yeah,
But then after that, there might be. We're still working it out. The general concept is you at least can die 3 times, but then after that, you don't know. Like if you die the 4th time, maybe you come back, and this time you lose a hand. It's going to get worse each time.
And I'm a big fan of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, right? And you get 3 fate points in Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. And everyone thinks that's a really badass, deadly system. But the fate point just allows you to do the same thing. You live miraculously. But I'm gamifying it so there's more to the story than that. And you really come back mangled or something. It's not going to affect your abilities. It's going to make you look cool. So I don't think that will, because I always get asked in the comments like, well, how is it unforgiving if you can die 3 times? Trust me, it's going to be cool. And if it's not, it won't survive playtesting.
Yeah, and also, I know it sounds silly, but the movie Jumanji, it's like, oh yeah, we got 3 lives, and then they're down to 2. It's like, oh, I got 2 lives, and then they're down to 1, and then you're like, But again, I don't want it to be like, oh, I have 1 life, I'm always going to be like the last one through the door. No, you can still survive, and if you survive that 4th time, trust me, it's going to be worth it. Like, you're going to get, like, the one person, there'll be the guy who's like, he died 10 times, and he's just like glowing orbs of, absolute death and the energy, and this guy is as badass as they come. So you get pretty powerful. Like, it's worth it to try to die, but it doesn't last forever.
Yes? Yeah, that's a Kelsey good. Don't you use zones?
Sort of. It's enough like zones that I don't think anything's lost in translation. Technically, it's relative distances, but it's still, are you close enough for melee? Are you out of reach of melee? Are you very far away? Those are the differences. So I don't think there's a lot we'd need to.
Yeah, I just rewrote that looking at Shadowdark, and I don't know, it looked the same to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally just circles, and you just assign which one you're in, and then you can be anywhere in the circle.
Yeah.
So those are the zones.
Yeah, like in Shadowdark, as you're moving, you technically could put like a bullseye of zones around your character that changes as you move, but it's the same, really. It's the same. Mm-hmm.
Cuts his own arm off to get out of
Yeah.
able to do that and not die because he goes on and keeps fighting.
Yeah, at this point, no one has ever thought about that. I've never thought about that. That would be a Game Master Fiat thing in my game. I would let you do it. Badass.
Yeah, I put it this way. We don't want to get to the point that there's mechanics for everything. And that's also a Shadowdark thing. It's like, we don't have mechanics for, this is how you cut off your own limbs. That, we probably won't have a chapter on that.
No, I was just thinking, okay, clearly that would do more hit points than
I think
but I want to live and keep fighting.
That would probably be, if I was doing that as a GM call. It's like, okay, you cut off your own limb, you get out, you automatically succeed out of the grapple check, and you lost 5 hit points. That's how you do it. And then after, the combat, you'd reattach your arm and everything's fine.
You reattach it. Just
Yes.
Am I going to have parts compatible?
Yeah, the Ultimate Dungeon Terrain thing was originally part of my vision. We're having problems with tariffs right now. It'll be an STL file. I don't know. We're going to talk about that.
Yeah, unfortunately, right now, we have no idea. Tariffs are like 30, 35%, but they're going to go expire and go to 145% in a few weeks. So it's impossible for us to do our jobs. It really is. So,
But are you going to in the layout of the module?
I don't know if we would actually lay it out, but we would say where they are in terms of, like, if we have maps, it would basically be close, near, far. By the way, anyone who's leaving, make sure you get a Deathbringer pin and card with the playtest information before you go. So everyone here will get a free Deathbringer. So the only thing is you have to put the pin on your skin. You can't actually put it
Yeah, it's a really great question because I've never really thought about it before. How do you make the maps? Do you make it the traditional way or the zoned way? It's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to probably be doing the layout, so it's not a bad idea, actually. I'll think about that. It's a pretty good idea.
We'll jump to the back. Go ahead, go. Yeah.
Help him out.
It's not that bad. So we do it on Discord. That's the first thing. So everyone has to go on Discord. We do it through the Discord channel. We actually separate out the Discord, the private Discord, and we separate it out into different sections so people can give different types of feedback, whether it's on monsters, or specific adventures, or specific classes. We also then organize it so that people are not either assigned or asked to play either certain adventures or certain levels. So we basically will have it pre-organized, and then we have people, whether ourselves or even people who want to volunteer. Some pretty at Roll for Combat, we have people that we call like legends, and they help out a lot. Roll for Combat in general, they play test most of our products, and they help organize the products. So they'll sort of be the managers, the wranglers behind the scenes. So you'll be semi-assigned. You'll be able to both volunteer and be assigned specific. So that's how we do it. We make sure that, like, okay, we have 5 classes. Who wants to play test everything? Not everyone does Deathbringer. We need all the classes play test. So we make sure they're separated out evenly. We make sure that different levels are play tested. We make sure different types of combat and spells are play tested. We are very organized, and we're going to make sure that it goes through the gamut so that it's not all in one bucket. That's as specific.
Yeah, and you're going to be part of figuring it out. Everyone will be. That's playtesting. You're going to be part of the creation process. Thank you in advance.
How were you playtest Shadowdark originally?
I mean, it is kind of like what Stephen said, where you don't play test the whole game all at once. And so, because that would be pretty complex. Like, you're play testing components. You're like, today we're play testing the specific tier of spells. We're play test like Shadowdark itself was play tested across various systems as it was being built. So I was like running an early version of the game in Caverns of Thracia, which is written for original D&D. So having, especially when systems are so similar, like Shadowdark is to OD&D, for instance, that you don't really get hung up so much on the minor differences in system. So I guess it sounds more complex than it is because everything you're testing ends up being so isolated that you're not trying to do the whole thing at once.
It'll work. Don't worry.
And it's going to be compatible with old school essentials too. Like any kind of old school. I just ran Village of Hamlet. I ran the Moat House with Shadowdark Deathbringer Hybrid. You didn't have to change a single stat. Like you don't need to convert it. Because I see a lot of questions about that on my YouTube channel. They're like, oh well, how would you convert the Keep on the Borderlands or the Lost City to Shadowdark? And I wouldn't. I would just run what's in there. You know, Goodman Games does great conversions, but
yeah, Shadowdark is designed at the same like scale overall as OD&D, so you could literally, or BX as well, you could just use the same stats and use Ascending Armor class, and it's like it works fine.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask that. It's like people are already using Shadowdark with other systems, and so
I did when I was playtesting it, so yeah.
And that's yet another reason why we're using Shadowdark.
And then like monster stat blocks. You know, you have to have a format, so I'm just going with the Shadowdark format because it's just going to be easier to read. Because eventually you just sight read it, and you're like, oh, you know, like you read it kind of all at once, and that's what I want. So everything moves quickly. Yes. Nope. Well, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, it's the way it traditionally works when we do these type of things in like Pathfinder and 20. The answer is no, unless they're like the big bad.
Yeah.
Otherwise, or they're like, you know, a main. But again, that's a GM call. That's like rules is written. They die. Unless they have a special ability. That's it.
But I do like in a module, I might make an enemy that once they're dead, they pop up again like a horror movie monster. Because that's just fun. Once in a while, not all the time. Are we missing any questions in the back? Okay, no? All right, back to the front. We got a little time,
I know
yeah.
you're 7 or 8 months from the Kickstarter. Any ideas getting loaded? Stretch goals? The obvious thing is either a mini or a Deathbringer.
Well,
You want to talk about that?
yeah, so the Deathbringer dice we're definitely going to include something to the Deathbringer dice. Again, so much is happening right now with manufacturing and tariffs and like where people. I mean, even here at GenCon, like all the traditional manufacturers are coming up to me booth, and even they're like, yeah, we're like setting up shops in other countries. Like, I mean, they're scrambling. Like everyone's scrambling. It's not just me. It's everyone, and because they're affected as much as I am. So. Right now, the plan is definitely to have Deathbringer dice at the bare minimum. The minis are very, very expensive to do. I won't get into things. I would probably like to at least do STLs and have mini classes, maybe at least the bare minimum the classes, and maybe specific monsters. But so you at least have something to show and like connect the game with. But it's not going to be like. Things like pogs, you would think, oh, we could just do pogs. Those are text. I mean, it's like, unless it's a book, it gets very.
Yes. Like a Warhammer?
This is some insanely deep Shadowdark lore right here. Like, I removed regular hammers from the core gear list because they took up space while being a sort of redundant item, and it turned into this joke called #Hammergate in like 2002, 2022. And now there are. Yeah, like bring back the hammer. There are actually, as like the joke continues in core Shadowdark material, there are no hammers except this last Kickstarter. We released the Cosmic Hammer as a special item, and it is quite powerful. So that's a deep cut right there. Yeah.
But I'm hoping in stretch goals I get some of my YouTuber friends.
Yeah.
And friends in the industry to write some scenarios.
Remember, the more we add, the longer it takes.
Yeah, we'll give them plenty of. That's why by September I'll have the sample scenario ready.
Don't give me any time. I work best when there's like a week deadline.
Yes. Ryan's the pinch hitter for me. I'm like, Ryan, I need a mini dungeon in a week, and he's like, I'll have it by tomorrow. You know?
I'm holding you to that.
Good.
Yeah.
I hope so. I was talking about that with Ben Milton of Questing Beast. Where are you, Ben? Hey, Ben.
Hey, Ben.
And Ben was saying, like, yeah, you know.
Yeah, give Ben a round of applause.
And we were talking about, like, how official modules, like, why are they still crap when the old OSR stuff is so much better? It's like they haven't learned anything. It's like, it really is like OSR stuff is just better. The layout is better, and you could find what you need easier. And as Ben was saying, why do they still put room 14? Why don't you say the Orc Den? You know, why would you put a number? And it's just stuff like that. So hopefully, it's up to you to proselytize and like, because like, I don't know, like when I read something like Vecna, and I did like one scenario in that book, but why do they do it that way? And I don't know. It's up to y'all to show them like great modules like Diogo Nogueira's Halls of the Blood King or Ben Milton's Waking of Willoughby Hall, right? Because they're just so outstanding, and people just need to see them. Yep.
I know Shadowdark has like a nice couple pages, but have a lot of similarities, of course, with style, but especially with how.
Yeah, I wrote my GM advice from all the episodes I ever did of Dungeon Craft, looking at the ones that were most popular. Like, how do you narrate? How do you narrate stuff? Like, and so there's a section on that.
Oh, by the way, little sneak peek. Deathbringer will be the narrator of the rules.
Yeah.
Deathbringer has a lot of tips and tricks throughout the book. I'm not kidding. And they
all good?
Yeah, they're all
They're all awesome.
They're all awesome.
I don't know about good.
And when you read them, you have to do them in the Deathbringer voice in your head, which you'll now be doing,
Yeah.
whether you want to or not.
Yeah. Yes? What's an audio bite?
We'll have to ask Deathbringer. He has a pretty strict contract, so I'm not sure. But that would be a good stretch goal.
People have asked where he is, and he is vacationing in Barbados with Dua Lipa.
So, will you be continuing the black and white Shadowdark edition, or will it be white?
No, it's gonna be more colorful because I really like the aesthetic of Heavy Metal magazine back in the 80s. If you were there for that, that was awesome. If you could get your hands on them because you were too young. They only sold new adults, and you could only imagine the wonders inside. And they were wonderful. Oh, just so great. Like, that's what I want.
So we have time probably for like 5 more.
I'm the next
Minutes.
talking here, so.
you're the
your
next.
next
Oh.
talk
Well,
then.
By the
we
way,
have another hour. What's your talk about, Baron?
I'm doing a geopolitical world building masterclass in this room immediately following this panel, so stick around if you want to and kick all the people who already bought tickets out.
Oh, wow. I didn't know you were next. Okay. Well,
So we can go till 49 or 59.
No,
what is it?
we can't.
9 more minutes.
Well, the gods of Deathbringer have pretty much given up, and
They're retired, you know.
there are people that worship them, but they don't respond. So, and they've either given up or they value strength. You know, so part of it, it's like Crom. Part of you worshiping Crom is not whining and complaining and begging all the time. So yeah, they favor it's a very hard kind of religion thing. So the undead. So part of originally with D&D, the cleric's jam was to turn the undead. Like, that's what they did, and there were a lot of undead. And in this version, the cleric, I think the witch hunter, the battle nun, will be able to do that, but not heal you. So turning the undead will be a thing, a little bit, but not as much as like traditional D&D. Because I always have healing. There's not a lot of healing magic. There's healing drugs, but healing hit points are timers, and the closer the timer comes to running out, the more intense it gets. If you can constantly replenish the timer, because that's who's played categories, especially the old one with that timer. Who's played that game? All right. All right. Imagine one of the players was like, "Oh yeah, my thing is to reset the timer." You know, so you get keeps going back to the beginning. Like, then it wouldn't have any tension because you wouldn't be racing against time. That's what clerics do. You know, and that's why I don't like them. So there won't be a lot. All right. 1 or 2 more?
Sure. Way in the back.
Oh.
No, he's just stretching.
No.
Well, now you have to ask a question. I'm sorry.
Actually, no. I just thought those are the ones I thought were cool. Those are the ones that were, the classes were based on my actual play group with my wife. She's back there. If you want to know all the details of what it's like to actually play. They're the most commonly played archetypes in my game, so that's what I included. And I just bought minis to fit them. And so, yeah.
Quick question about tariffs. Not real big on them, but they affect like final stickers, fold out maps very often in the book.
Yeah.
Yes.
They
If it's not.
You
everything
know, just thinking you
except
can make a vinyl sticker that would go right on an IKEA.
no.
Like,
Yeah.
The only thing you can ship, so tariffs before this on games were 0%. Tariffs right now are like 35% on games. And so if I take but books are 7.5%, but just books, nothing else. So if I take a book and I put it in a box, it is now 35%. So unless it's a book, it's going to be tariff. And yeah, I mean, and it has to. It's not something we can just add to just a Kickstarter because it's the base price that's just put on top. So it'd have to increase the price of everything. It also has to do with even how it's shipped because once you start shipping things that aren't books, the shipping gets more expensive. So it's again, this is something. Hopefully, well, by April, I hope, or by the end of the year, this is sort of sorted out. But according to everything I'm reading, and remember, that was just a temporary relief. It's supposed to go back up to 145% in a few weeks. So,
Yes, Michelle? So, Countess Claudia van Hammerstein is a villain in my game. My wife really hates her, and she finally kills her. And the question is really, will the Countess be in the book? Maybe. Maybe, but no, she won't be coming back because you killed her. And the players, it got to the point where they were angry at me.
I don't know. I think that's the next adventure, the return of the Countess.
This is going to be a lich. I'm making that adventure.
It's due next week, Baron.
In 1 week.
They punched her in the face and then threw her into a pool of acid. So she's nothing but bone.
So she's a demi-lich then.
But I'm thinking about putting her in the book.
Please do.
So probably like one or two more questions. Well, I forgot Baron's next, so we got endless questions.
Oh.
No,
we can't.
Everyone's tired. Everyone wants to go to the next thing.
It can be a hardback book.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's gonna be
Yeah.
our back.
Our back. It's going to be, I want it to be substantive and premium. Yeah.
Thank you.
Like form factor, you mean?
Yeah. Like probably.
It's going to be digest size.
Okay.
A5,
then
yeah.
I didn't okay with him. I would imagine yes. I would probably want to do the digest size so it matches the other Shadowdark. Very nice. And Kelsey and I use the same printer, so everything I do matches Kelsey's books already, and so it's going to match. So it's not going to stand out and be like the weird. I mean, it might be, but for other reasons.
Yeah, for other reasons.
Might have a little bit of blood on it or something.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for coming out. And, thanks to Kelsey and Stephen for making a great game and making a great partner.